Yo, still Mills, what's the deal, man? Fucking, I just had to change my fucking tire, man. That just set me back about 30 minutes, but finally on my way to work. But peep game, man. We got to talk. We got to talk. We got to talk about these past weekend festivities. And I know I'm a pretty obvious detractor of Deontay Wilder, but we have to sing praises to him, man. For that heart of a warrior that he displayed on Saturday, man. That shit just, the fuck? That shit just can't be denied. We can say what we want about him, but when he said he meant to go out on his sword, he'll be willing to go out on his sword. He meant that shit. You gotta salute that. You gotta salute that. So kudos to him for doing that. Kudos to him for being. Damn, this donut I put on this. Ugh, I don't like how it sounds. But kudos to him for doing that. As ridiculous as I think it personally is for these fighters to take on that type of mentality, kudos to him for having the mentality. Now that we gotten that out the way, I think it's safe to say this whole narrative of you have to be perfect for 12 rounds, I only have to be perfect for 2 seconds. I think it's about time we put that shit to bed. I think it's time to hang that up. Because he's been perfect for a total of 8 seconds. He's floored Fury twice. Floored him twice. And Fury got back up. No, he's floored him 4 times. I'm tripping. The first fight in this past fight from Saturday, he's clipped him twice. And he's got back up. Fury did get a long count. We can't disregard that. He did get a long count. He got a long count. But the thing is, even with that long count, he didn't really have his bearings back up under him like that. If you were a little bit, if your tools were sharpened, you would have had what it took to go and get him up out of there. But you don't. Even leading up into this fight, he was disparaging people who had a certain, who were technically sound. I have power, so I'm always in the fight. I have power, I'm always in the fight. I have power. You got that skill. Skill is neither here nor there, but if you have power, that is what got you here. That is what got you here. Suffering 2 brutal knockout losses. And for those who, because it still is people who are saying he's a cheat. I've seen Fanon say that he still believes Fury is a cheat. Everything that happened to Deontay Wilder in the second fight happened in this fight. Bleeding profusely from his ear, mouth bleeding, eyes swollen, face just beat up and battered. Just beat up and battered. And there was a thorough inspection on everything. Gloves. You seen Tay Jones and then how they were acting with the gloves. We saw that video. Everything. They cross-check everything. More so than what they already do. To see to it that nothing nefarious happens in this fight. And it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. So can we put this notion to bed that he cheated? You dig what I'm saying? Everything that happened to him in the second fight happened to him in the third fight. Everything. everything. And going into the third fight, the plan of attack, the game plan was good to attack his body. That was good. That was smart. But the thing is this: when you have a deficiency to throw hooks and uppercuts, how sustained is the body attack going to be? How effective will it be? Because I mean, as good as his right hand is, he gets off balance. Like you seen him getting off balance when when he was throwing hooks on the body armor with Malik Scott. He still isn't necessarily. He isn't good at dipping at that level and turning his body into the shots. Getting proper leverage on the shot to deliver a devastating hook to the body or an uppercut to the body, right to the solar plexus. It's not his game. You throwing 1-2s at the body, cool. But nobody is expecting you to land, like those, the 1s and the 2s to the body. Nobody is expecting that shit to really get somebody the fuck up out of there. They'll use that to, all right, cool, let me tap the body so you can compromise your guard up top and I can come over the top or something. That's what that's for. He was putting everything into those jabs and those tools into the body. He was putting everything into it. Everything. That was not the move. You heard him grunt every time he would land a 1 or a 2 to the body. And even Fury adjusted on the fly, just like that. Started launching the hook. Like, whack, hold that. And it started making him guess, or it started making him think. And because he doesn't have the IQ to think on a level of a Tyson Fury, he reverted right back to who he is as a fighter, which is Windmill Wilder. This is what I'm saying, man. This is what we've been saying. He lacks fundamentals. People have been telling him this for years. He just never wanted to listen. And because he's been knocking out the caliber of fighters that he's been knocking out, everybody has just been like, they can't see anybody beating a Deontay Wilder. And it's ridiculous. He never sat there. Like, you can't cram what you should have been learning over a decade. You starting late is not an excuse. You starting late, that isn't an excuse, because at the least we can say, yeah, he's, we see where he may lack in this area and that area, but you should be able to see gradually them, their skill set starting to heighten as they move on through the rankings. He never did that. He was more than content with staying on the outside, throwing the right, launch on the right hand, looking for a way to launch the right hand. You dig the footwork, just everything. It was just not. It's not there. Even when he's measuring to throw the right hand, he's like he's pawing with the jab. He's pawing with the jab instead of just like, it's not even like feinting that he's doing with his. There's no feints. There's no feints. It's none of that. It's him pawing with the jab, and he'll paw with the jab. Usually, you'll simultaneously paw and step in with behind the jab to blind him to, so by the time you're ready, by the time you're in position to throw that right hand and they realize this isn't a jab coming at me and they compromise their guard, you're in position to land that right hand effectively. But he's not understanding of that. So he's galloping, pawing the jab. He'll paw the jab and he'll gallop and load up on the right hand like he's pitching or throwing a football. And Fury is seeing it coming a mile away. Like, come on, man. Come on. And even with Fury, let's not act like this was just an incredible display of boxing, even on Tyson Fury. They both look sloppy. They both look lethargic. Fury is just a more skilled fighter, and he's acclimated to fighting at that weight, so his level of endurance is higher than Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder is not acclimated to, his body isn't built to fight at 230 and no. I'm sure he was 240 when he came in the ring. No. I said it before, his best work is when he's a wiry dude. His best weight is at 212. Now niggas is talking about it needs to be a difference between heavyweight and super heavy. Why? There was never an issue when Deontay Wilder was stretching out Luis Ortiz. That was never a problem. That was never an issue. Never. We praised him for that. That's the reason why niggas named him one of possibly the most destructive puncher in the history of the sport. This nigga's 212, 215, knocking out Luis Ortiz was 250. He put him on the canvas in the third or fourth round when he still had his legs up under him properly? In their first fight? Like, come on, man. Y'all niggas kill me when y'all want to move the goalposts whenever Wilder is involved. That man did not have the stamina to sustain fighting at that weight. He was gassed by the second round. The minute Fury started stepping in with the hard jab, even his punch resistance looked a little weird. When Fury would connect on the jab, he'd be like, oh shit. You'll see it look in his face. Oh. He stepped in behind the hard jab. Bam! And Wilder was looking like, yo, like you seen that shot visibly had an effect on him, a power jab. Or even a snappy jab. This shit is ridiculous, man. The dude just, I don't think he should retire unless he's showing signs of neurological damages, you know, damage to him. Just his brain is off or whatever. Just he's getting a delay to speech. Just his motor skills are starting to go and dissipate. Then, all right, cool, yeah, we most definitely need to not even consider retirement. You need to go on ahead and hang him up. His confidence is shot. All right, cool. Because two back-to-back brutal knockouts like this, yeah, it's a possibility. It's a possibility of that. But if he's regular Wilder, there's still big fights out there for him. And I did slightly see an upgrade, slightly, very slightly. The body attack being one, even though it wasn't the proper punch selection for the body attack, nonetheless, he didn't neglect the body. Second, he pivoted off the rope pretty, you know, that was pretty eloquent how he did that and trapped Fury on the rope. He did that in one instance. So I see minor tweaks in his game. I saw it. But like Fury said in the first press conference, and like everybody else thought, the minute he gets clipped, he's gonna revert right back to who he is as a fighter. It's trial and error when you're trying to unlearn some shit. And that a year and a half wasn't enough. And I'm not even sure if it was a year and a half that him and Malik Scott were training. You dig me? And he owes Mark Breland an apology. Public apology. You owe that man a public apology. You berated that man, drug him through the mud just for Fury to literally do the exact same thing. This fight, it was a repeat of the second fight. The difference was the 2 knockdowns. Even with those 2 knockdowns that you scored on him, you were out. You were spent. You were exhausted. You were exhausted. We saw your energy. We saw you huffing and puffing by the third round. Third round, you was done. You have let these niggas who know nothing about the sport of boxing penetrate your intellectual defenses and fill your head up with just the dumbest of talking points to negate the fact that you got stopped. And look where it got you. That knockout was worse than the second knockout. How your body went in that 11, like, bro, you had no answer for that dude. You had no answer for him. Like, bro, that shit just, that, you're not the most savviest of thinkers. You're not. Like, something is really, you're arrogant. You're arrogant. You need to thoroughly humble you. You need to humble yourself. You owe Mark Breland an apology. Because it wasn't spiked water as to why your legs went. It was that excess weight. In conjunction with Fury leaning on you and using his weight against you to saturate your energy. Or to sap your energy. That just wasn't logical, dog. That wasn't logical. You need to check yourself. Into a hospital and, and a self-check. This is why yes men are not, they shouldn't be. Yes men will get you nowhere. Even Malik Scott talking about you gonna feel so proud of yourself tomorrow morning. How? You showed the heart of a warrior, yeah, but to what cost? Like, at what cost? People are talking about that fight was competitive strictly because he refused to go down. That wasn't a competitive fight. I have Deontay Wilder winning the first round and the third round, or the fourth round, when he scored those 2 knockdowns. That's it. And even in that 4th round, when you scored that other knockdown, or those 2 knockdowns, you were exhausted. You were exhausted and was getting your ass beat. Nobody has ever brung into question the power of your right hand. But it's the right cross that people, the minute you blanket that right straight, nothing else is a factor. That's why you lost to a highly skilled fighter. When you fought Luis Ortiz, you was losing every round, practically. His boxing IQ was proven to be too much for you. You eventually caught him, though. Arthur Spilka, Gerald Washington, people who have a solid fundamental base, they give you fits. Because you just don't possess the skill set to deal with these cats like that. You're gonna have to look yourself in the mirror and really humble yourself, man, because if you're gonna continue to box, this shit ain't the move, bro. It's not the move. It's not the move at all. You need to humble yourself and go apologize to Mark Breland. And tell them LDBC niggas to put out, they need to all be putting out videos apologizing as well. And I don't even like Fury. But to sully that man's win, just for him to turn around and do it in a more brutal fashion, the results were still the same. Bleeding from your ear, your mouth busted, your eyes swollen. It was an instant replay of the second fight. It just went longer. And the knockout was a lot more devastating. When do you check yourself? When do you look in the mirror and say, I got shit that I have to work on? When do you do that? I got another video I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna give a breakdown as to why I'm not a fan of dude. I'm just not. We gonna get into that. I'll probably get into that in my next video though, man. So I'm out. I'm about to head in this warehouse. Peace.